All right, welcome into Market Day Report. I am Scott Shelby. The good news is, again, you've got me for the day. Bad news is you've got me for the day. So depending on what side of the aisle you're on, you might not like that. But anyway, got to give a shout out. I was out a couple days speaking to the great folks of the Virginia Soybean Association in just outside of Richmond. And there was also some people there from the Virginia Grain Producers Association. Great group of people. I also got to meet the Virginia Secretary of Agriculture, Matthew Lohr. So fantastic event. Great to speak to those people. But I want to give a shout out to, first of all, Rachel Moore Gresham. She's with the Virginia Soybean Association. She set it all up. What a fantastic event. As well as Lee Hubbard. She's with the Virginia Grain Producers Association. She did a great job as well, too. So they tag teamed a great event, and I was very, very happy and honored to be there. So I just wanted to give them a big shout out for having me up, and we had a blast. Well, now let's see how the overnights did, and maybe we can put a downer on that little that little talk. I listened to channel 147 Sirius XM all the way home, so I know what happened yesterday. Boy, oh boy, with that report. Let's see about what we've got going on. So overnight, we had a 2.5 cent basically sell-off in corn. March is up 2.5 cents to 4.30 3/4. So 2.5 to 2 3/4 cents lower in the corn overnight. Let's take a look and see what beans have. This was the one that, remember, Conab came out yesterday, shot us up, and then boy, oh boy, did the USDA pour water on that one. March down 7 3/4 cents, 11.85 3/4 is last overnight in soybeans. We move on to the wheat and see what that's got in store for us. Well, this is a little bit better. It's an up arrow. March is up 4 1/4 cents overnight to 5.92 3/4. This is the Chicago wheat. May's up 2.5 cents right behind it, 5.96 1/2 last there. But I believe the hard red was lower. At least it was when I was doing my radio show. Yeah, there it is. Hard red was lower in Kansas City. That's the March, 1.5 cents lower there, just under $6, 5.99 1/2. And we're 2 cents lower in the May to 5.97 1/2. So there you go. That's the hard red overnight. And overnight spring wheat, what do they do? That was schizophrenic. That's buckshot against the old stop sign. Remember that, kidding out in the country? March down 1/4, 6.83 1/2. But we had May up 3/4 cent, 6.84 1/2. Finally, we'll go to that cotton board and we'll get to our guest analyst. And that is up 51 points overnight. So there you go. Maybe, I don't even know if, 89.61 is last there. Let's bring in our guest analyst for today. That's going to be Brian Hoops in Springfield, Missouri. Thank you very much, Brian, for being on the show. He's with Midwest Market Solutions, and he's the president there. Well, I heard it all. I listened intently for 9 hours. It was enough to make my wife do her head in, but it seems as though that suddenly we're now wishing our life away for the March report. Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah, good to have you back, Scott. Yeah, the reports that came out yesterday, there wasn't really anything that you could say this is a bullish development, something that was a surprise, or anything to really hang your hat that we have a chance of putting lows in these grain markets anytime soon. The Conab numbers kind of excited the market early in the morning, and as you said, by crop report time, WASDE report, they threw a blanket all over that number and really snuffed out a rally. So we're seeing lower prices here overnight. Corn is working on its 8th lower weekly close out of the last 9 weeks. Soybeans 13 out of the last 14 weeks. It's been a dismal stretch here for both of those markets as far as trading lower on a weekly basis. We may not really change anything here until we get into the delivery period, and that's at the end of the month. Any of these March contracts are probably going to struggle, in my opinion, given these lofty ending stocks numbers, and we could see some deliveries in that time frame. After that, maybe we can kind of set the tone that we're done going down for the near term. We start maybe looking ahead towards planted numbers and weather into the spring and summertime, and that's when you probably have your best chance to stage some sort of a low, but I don't think it's going to be here on February the 9th.
It's like, I'm sure you get these in calls, but sitting up in front of all those people, and then afterwards there's mingling going on, and a lot of this, hey, I've been getting $7 and $8 for my corn. I've been waiting around for this rally, and it's just, I haven't done anything for last year yet. What should I do? What are your thoughts? I mean, you probably are getting calls like that all the time. What do you tell guys now that are more undersold than they thought because the hybrids overperformed last year, and B, they haven't done anything for pricing this year?
Yeah, I do think as far as pricing compared to 2 months from now, I mean, if you've ridden out this long, what's another couple months? It's probably going to work lower in values. Options won't really save you in that respect because you need to have big moves to make money in those long options. Right. But you can maybe sell cash if you absolutely have to, and then come back in and re-own the market. But otherwise, you're better off looking at spring, summertime marketing opportunities than trying to market here in the month of February.
All right, yeah, this is probably bad time. I mean, it's just there's no real good answer. It's probably the best answer, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. All right, don't move. I know you're not gonna, but stay there. We're gonna go away. We're gonna pay some bills. We're gonna come back and talk more livestock with Brian Hoops after this. All right, welcome back in. This is the part we talk about the livestock, and I'm wearing a livestock jacket, so I'm gonna make sure we get this right. But this is just the overnights, or not the overnights. This is yesterday's close, so we trade overnight. But we're just gonna remind you where I guess this is like a jumping off point, right? I don't want to say that too much, jumping. I don't like the way that sounds, but anyway, this is what it is, and it was a good day yesterday. Let's start with the live cattle. Yesterday, April was up $1.77 on 186.57, and we were $1.52 higher in the June right behind it to 183.72. So that's not bad. That's good for the live cattle. Fats. Let's go to the feeders. They were higher as well. $1.30 higher in the March. 246.85 was last there. And I guess you could say that's only 30 cents off the high of the day. 246. Sorry, that's off the lows. Be careful. All right. So that's, again, we were up $1.30, but still 246.85 was last, and that was about 60 cents off the lows. Sorry. April, 72 cents higher. 251.92 was last there. That was yesterday. So there you go. That's yesterday's news, and let's finish up yesterday's news with the lean hogs. April's 75 cents lower to 80.35. And May's 52 cents lower to 85.82. Let's bring back in Mr. Brian not Brian Brian Hoops, sorry. With Midwest Market Solutions, and it's in Springfield, Missouri. What's the weather like in Springfield, by the way?
Very nice, Scott. It was in the 60s all this week, and maybe a little cooler this weekend, but then back in the upper 50s and 60s. So I actually have grass in the yard starting to green up after all the moisture we've had recently.
I was going to say, you're about to get the clubs out, man. That's great. That's good enough for that.
Right.
All right. Well, what do you got for us? And what do you think about these livestock prices yesterday? I mean, not bad.
Oh, not a bad day at all. I was really surprised. We kind of shrugged off the deliveries that we saw Wednesday night. There were no deliveries last night, but we're certainly in a position. If we don't see higher cash trade, the deliveries are going to start coming out against this February contract because we put so much premium into the futures anticipating stronger cash trade. So yeah, we're going to have to break that cash trade loose at some point. The funds continue to pile into this market. They were, abandoned the ship in November into December, and now that the ship is righted, they are piling back into this in a very aggressive manner. The fundamentals certainly support it, but you just wonder if they're, just pushing this thing higher than really fundamentally where it needs to be for this week in February, given the fact that the cash trade is not following the futures and the fact that the backer margins are so negative right now.
Yeah, I talked to a few people in the industry. They still suffer from a little PTSD after what happened last part of last year, and they have a hard time really wanting to pile them back in, even though these prices have gotten better on them. So might be a missed opportunity, and who knows if it comes back. But from that, I guess I'm going to say even August, September, we started that downhill slide. And man, it was brutal. And that was a really good lesson in sentiment, right?
Right, exactly. And I think there'll be a lot more people interested in protecting the downside on this rally that we're going to see into the spring, into the summer months. They're going to remember what happened last September, October into November and step in and maybe do some put options, at least at a very least or a minimum.
Right. Always great stuff. Great way to kick off a Friday. Thank you very much for taking the time, Brian Hoops. He's with Midwest Market Solutions. He's the president there. He's in Springfield, Missouri, and we're in Nashville, Tennessee. It's good to be